Okay, dear students, nice to see everybody again. And today we continue to go to the magic land of management as a science. However, it's quite interesting to understand the basis of contemporary management, and for this purpose, I'd like to present you the brief history of management. I'm opening the presentation. Just a moment. Great. So, dear students, let's begin with a history of management. Actually, let's begin maybe even from ancient times when several people decided to hunt a mammoth. Can we say that they used functions of management? I can remind you the main functions of management, the main four functions of management: planning, organizing, motivating, and controlling. So, if we ask, did they use some managerial practices? Did they use planning? Yes, they planned hunting. I think they analyzed the previous hunting. They analyzed the um, behavior of animals. They analyzed the previous accidents, and with all the information, they, I think, succeed in improving hunting. So they planned groups. So you should do this. You have to go this, and then they divided roles. So I think some people, actually, I'm not a big specialist in hunting. However, I understand the main principles. So to kill such a big animal as mammoth, they had to divide these, to put apart this animal from other animals, and I think the people with fire, they did this. They tried to set the closest apart from the animals, and then they divided some roles. About the reward. What was the most important driving force? They were hungry, So, and this is, I think, the biggest driving force for them. And did they use controlling function? Certainly yes, because they analyzed after this hunting. I'm sure that they would analyze it to understand maybe the fails of the hunting, not to repeat it again. So we can find some pieces of modern management even in activities of prehistorical people. Even However, and what is also important, what is if this is only our imagination, the clear evidences is that people lived in organized groups, and if somebody lives in organized group, this group must be organized somehow, and this is also a part of organizing as a function of management. Maybe you don't know what does it mean BC. It is before Christmas. And if speaking about ancient practice of management, it is quite important to understand it. Now we have a totally different society, totally different external environment for every company. However, it's quite important to understand the evidences of management. If speaking about the evidences, another evidences of management, we can think about it, and we can find two situations when people had a need to be organized. First of all, then they built huge buildings, such you can see here pyramid, or when it was some conflicts, some wars. And generally, the word strategy came to our language, to English, and also to Ukrainian language. In Ukrainian, we also have this word strategia, and this word came from Old Greek language, and the meaning of this language is like being of a good troop leader. It's because when it is a war, we have also to plan our battle, we have to organize our army, we have to support it with food. It is also evidence of organizing function. Then we have to motivate them somehow with some benefits usually, and we have to educate from one battle to another. So you know that if somebody doesn't do some outcomes from the problem, the next problem will be really huge. So I do hope that I really persuaded you that we can find some evidences of management. However, the new practice of management is relatively new, and I'd like to explain you the modern management, the modern practice of management. However, I'd like to begin. It will be the subject of our next lecture. However, within this lecture, I'd like to explain the difference between ancient time and modern times, because you know, the behavior of people was different compared with the present time, not only because that people were fools, like we are not so smart as today. Yes, you are we are really smart. We know everything about technologies. We know actually not maybe how to create it, but we can use it. New communicating technologies. However, in that ancient time, people didn't need to be so smart. And to understand this gap between ancient times and now, I'd like to present you some managerial practices, ancient managerial practices, and at the end of the lecture, we will compare the modern world and ancient world. Ancient organization really managed formally, and they did have levels of management because, as I told you, in army they had some positions. So it wasn't like only the top management, only one Tsar or king. He had some managers connected with army. And generally, even if speaking about top management, the emperors, kings were also managers. So they needed to use the main functions of management. For example, Alexander the Great, he was an emperor, and this is the biggest size of his empire. He was really a good manager to organize his army. And the next evidence of big empire was Roman Empire. Here you can see the biggest size of Roman Empire. AD means Anno Domini. It is like in Ukrainian it is наша era. То після Різдва, получається. So here at this picture you can see the biggest size of Roman Empire, and you know, if speaking about the empire of Alexander the Great, after his death, his empire how to say, broke apart to pieces, but Roman Empire was alive for a very big period, very long period of time. And it's because they understood very important managerial obligations, and maybe they didn't know these words. However, they really understood how it was possible, how it was important to use managerial functions. And they really understood that communications were very important for management. Now, if we wish to communicate to other person, we can do it in different ways. We can send a short message via Viber or Telegram, for example. It is possible for us just to call by handy. It is possible to organize some chat. It is possible to go to some forum maybe and to communicate in some group, or it is possible, for example, how I can communicate with the students who are absent today. I'm recording this lecture, and this lecture will be available for those who are absent now. But in that times, in ancient times, it was only one way of communicating. To send. Okay, two. If to communicate with a person who is close to you, it is possible to do it orally. And if speaking about some distant communication, it was only one way to do, just send the written paper. And this paper must be sent by or with a person who will carry it. And for this purpose, we need a good systems of road. And at the left picture, you can see the system of roads in the Roman Empire. You see, it is like a blood system of body. There are a lot of roads. Here is like heart, Rome, and from from the capital of the empire, it was possible to go to the to any part of the empire easily. I would say maybe not easily, but quicker than if we hadn't have these roads, because anyway, they used to have horses, they didn't have cars, etc. And in the left picture, you can see the road Dear students, do you hear me? I had problems with the internet and now I have no electricity, but I'm using the mobile phone. Dear students, do you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so dear students, please, if something, I will check the recording. The recording is going on. Dear students, please, if something goes wrong, please write me in our Telegram chat. And if there is a poor quality because I'm using now my mobile phone, so I will do it later. I will just record lecture for you. However, if everything is okay, I will continue. Okay. Dear students, do you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So, this is old Appia Road in Rome, and believe me, now it is, even now, it is in a very good quality. And what is more important, using this road, they could not only to send some information, but if somebody decided to fight against Roman rule, it was very easy to send army to this region. So one of the success on the basis of success of Roman Empire is connected with the system of roads. However, the practice of ancient organization was quite different compared with today. It's because they have just few managers at the levels of middle management position. And generally it was like a one-man show. It means that the emperor or Tsar was a manager, and he didn't wish to see anybody close to him or to her. If it was a lady. Dear students, just a moment. Now I have normal internet. Back. I'm switching to normal internet. I'm sorry for this situation. And if this emperor was smart, so everything was good with his country. And as you can see here, Julius Caesar was quite smart, and for his being the emperor of Roman Empire, the state was really good. And when the next manager was ineffective, like Nero, life could become uncertain. Another example of very good structured organization is is Roman Catholic Church, and they have a lot of similarities with contemporary organization. They have budget, they have very strong structure, and these using functions of management help him to be alive even now. However, let's compare the old and new organizations. New means current organization. In old times, it was no really big businesses. And if speaking about only about businesses, we can say that it was only just small businesses. And now there are extremely large, powerful businesses and organizations, and they can be profit organizations or non-profit organizations. Several years ago, I read very interesting article, and the title of this article was "Where is Nike?" You know that this is the very famous company producing sports equipment. We call it in Ukraine Nike, however, it is a little bit more correctly to pronounce it Nike, and in US they call it Nike. However, it's possible Nike, doesn't matter. So where is Nike? The owners are from US and the money are from US. The design prepared in France and Switzerland. The production is situated in China, Vietnam, Laos, and Malaysia. So there is Nike all over the world, you know. And now, after the globalization, we can say that this is completely a normal practice. And in that times, in ancient times, they didn't have such examples. And you know, to have such big organization, it is only one way to manage it, to use managerial instruments. Only with modern managerial instruments it is possible to manage such complicated structure, as it was in my example connected with Nike. In old organizations, the number of managers was quite small and almost no middle managers. Why it was so? Because top management was afraid of being killed, and they tried not to involve a lot of people into managerial activities. And nowadays we have a lot of managers, and the number of middle management managers are also very high. And I do hope that you also will become qualified managers after our program. In old time, the managerial work wasn't separated from non-managerial activities. It means that if an entrepreneur prepared, I don't know, some product, it was very difficult for him or for her to understand that he produces something, but also he implemented some managerial functions. So he could say, okay, I'm just thinking what to produce next week, but this is the functions of management. And you know that nowadays this managerial activity is well defined, and a lot of universities prepares the professional managers, the professionals who will create strategy for the companies, who will create organizational structure for the companies, who will set the rewards for employees and who will know all the instruments of management. Now we understand that there are managers and there are other people who are involved in the process of creating some products. How it was possible to become a manager in old time? It was just two possibilities: to be born in the family of previous manager, in the, for example, to be a child, to be a son of a Tsar, for example, or to kill the previous manager. Just only two possible ways to become a manager. And nowadays you will not have to kill anybody to become a manager. You will just need to be qualified enough to get a very good position in any company. In old organization, as far as there were just a few people who were involved into managerial activities, so just few people were able to make important organizational decisions. In contrast with the mentioned one, nowadays a lot of people are able to make important organizational decisions. It's because management now understands that we can delegate decision making even to non-managers, just two examples. One from history, from one Japanese company, as far as I remember, it is connected with Toyota. However, I could be wrong. So it is definitely connected with a car producer from Japan, maybe Toyota. So they had a very big problem with cars and with brakes, and they began to, and after this problem they had to pay a lot of money to fix this problem in all issued cars. And they tried to understand if anybody knew about this situation, about this awful situation. And they discovered that a lot of people really knew about this situation, a lot of workers, I mean, but they were not allowed to communicate with manager about the problem, and it became possible that the company produced a big number of cars with a problem. What they decided to do? They decided to delegate some decision making to workers, not even to lowest managers, but to workers. They put the red button near every working place of assembly line. Assembly line means conveyor, кто не знає. So since that time, it was possible for any worker to stop assembly line if he or she felt that something then went wrong. If any worker felt that something went wrong, it was possible for him or for her to stop assembly line. You can only imagine that the cost of this decision is very big, because when we are stopping our assembly line, we are stopping everything at our factory. However, they just compared the possible losses of these stop with possible losses of producing some cars with damages, and they decided to do it. And the second example is connected with our Ukrainian company. Now the name of this company is FS. Just a couple of years ago it was Sun and Bev. It was a beer producing company, and they had department of logistics, and if some retailer wished to book some beer, they had to contact to the persons working at this department, and they decided that if we know this client, it is possible to delegate to this client some business processes, and everything can be organized by a client at the website, at the portal. Actually everybody must have account to do it. Just some person cannot do it. However, after these delegating of these business process, even not to workers but to clients, they cut the costs on logistics, on financing this department. They cut it twice, in 2 times. And if speaking about the previous time, it was the emphasis on intuition. So if somebody thought that it should be done for the organizational success, so now the emphasis is on teamwork and rationality. And within our course we will discuss a lot of modern managerial instruments, how to organize the activity of the company in the most effective and efficient way. And the milestone between ancient practice of management and modern management is 1911, when Frederick Winslow Taylor published his work, Principles of Scientific Management. This book was published by Taylor, and he was the first, and we call him as father of modern management. It's because actually he was the first to publish a book in the field of management, and he was the first to separate the managerial activities from non-managerial activities. And he stated that, okay, managers should manage the company, should manage other workers, and if managers do it in an efficient and effective way, so the organization will be generally successful. And after publishing his book, we know management as it is now. Actually, there were a couple of other scientists. There were a couple of other scientists working at the problem at the same time. However, we call him as the father of management just because he was the first to publish the first book in management. Okay, dear students, I will switch off the recording.